Lyndon B. Johnson is very similar to Joe Biden.
What started out as an accidental presidency would become one of the most consequential, yet unappreciated, in American history.
He believed that he could make America a better place for its underprivileged people.
They're both Democrat socialists. His big socialist programs were the Great Society, programs to address education, medical care, urban problems, rural poverty.
She literally has no idea, does she?
Transportation, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, and welfare.
Not only was Threads quick to point out the hilarity of Marjorie Greene unknowingly making a great campaign ad for Joe Biden, but the White House account itself got in on the act.
While speaking at the conservative Turning Point Action Conference yesterday, Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia warned that President Biden wants to address issues like education, medical care, and rural poverty. Reverend Al Sharpton, that sound you're hearing is the White House thanking Marjorie Taylor Greene for the campaign commercial. Let's remember, of course, that in their first months in office, they eagerly embraced the Lyndon Johnson comparisons. The Great Society is what they were shooting for. They're trying to be the most transformative legislative presidency since then, those first 2 years when they had the Democrats in control.
While attending a Turning Point USA cult rally over the weekend, the ever so ludicrous lawmaker from Georgia tried to come for the Biden administration by, let me check the notes, attempts to make people's lives easier.
Lyndon B. Johnson is very similar to Joe Biden. How are they the same? They're both Democrat socialists. Lyndon B. Johnson was the majority leader in the Senate. Does that sound familiar? He was vice president to Kennedy. Joe was vice president to Obama. He was appointed as the president after JFK was assassinated, then he was elected. His big socialist programs were the Great Society. The Great Society were big government programs to address education, medical care, urban problems, rural poverty, transportation, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, and welfare, the Office of Economic Opportunity, and big labor and labor unions. Now, LBJ had the Great Society, but Joe Biden had Build Back Better, and he still is working on it. The largest public investment in social infrastructure and environmental programs that is actually finishing what FDR started, that LBJ expanded on, and Joe Biden is attempting to complete: socialism. Meanwhile, we are now $32 trillion in debt. With record high homelessness, 40-year record inflation, we're losing the US dollar as the #1 world currency. We're losing our freedoms. Our government is one big fat bloated machine, and it's killing the American dream.
She compared Biden's Build Back Better plan to President Lyndon B. Johnson's Great Society, an array of programs from the mid-1960s aimed at combating poverty in America.
Johnson recalled the prejudice he saw directed against Mexican-American children he taught during college.
It never even occurred to me in my fondest dreams that I might have the chance to help the sons and daughters of those students. But now I do have that chance. And I'll let you in on a secret. I mean to use it.
Those programs included Medicare, Medicaid, and food stamps, along with the 1964 Civil Rights Act. I know, just terrible, terrible policies, right?
Medical care, urban problems, rural poverty, transportation.
I was waiting on the attack. I mean, she said all of that, and I was waiting for, and what do you object to? She left out the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act, and she forgot to say that Lyndon Johnson defeated Barry Goldwater in one of the biggest landslides in presidential history in this country, and that Joe Biden defeated Donald Trump. He didn't inherit this from the assassination of his predecessor, but we won't let facts get in her way.
Full disclosure, I'm just measly a ginger pundit from Scotland with some thoroughly researched and well thought out opinions on the political landscape in America, but it strikes me as an interesting strategy to compare legislation of a president you want to impeach with some of the most popular legislation in American history. According to a Kaiser Family Foundation survey from March, more than 80% of Americans have either a, quote, very favourable or somewhat favourable opinion of Medicare, and 76% feel the same about Medicaid. So one would think if you're trying to attack a political opponent, one would steer clear of such popular policy. That would mean assuming that that person has the brain capacity to comprehend common sense.
And in 2022, I'm going to blow away the Democrat socialist agenda.
Find yourself disoriented or confused. It's either you're drunk or Marjorie Taylor Greene.
This, after all, is the same person that claimed 9/11 was a hoax.
We had witnessed 9/11, right? We had witnessed 9/11, the terrorist attack in New York, and the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania, and the so-called plane that crashed into the Pentagon. It's odd, there's never any evidence shown for a plane in the Pentagon. But anyways, I'm not going to dive into the 9/11.
That Ruth Bader Ginsburg had a body double.
Yeah, like the body double for Hillary Clinton, so it's interesting. Yeah. So
I do not believe that was Ruth. No, I don't think so.
There's possible satanic worship, and maybe that all these scary things that people talk about on what's considered conspiracy sites and conspiracy theories really may be true.
Struggles to count outside the fingers and toes threshold.
What it did to our children's math and reading levels is horrific. School closures brought them to the lowest levels in years. English 8th graders, math proficiency dropped by 7 points. Reading levels dropped by 2 points. There are 1,524,524 and 481. This is over 1 million.
And blamed Biden for gas price increase, only to then attack him for lowering them.
Everyone, I just wanted to point out to you that gas prices are now $4.29 in Georgia. This is how fast gas prices are going up. This is all Joe Biden's fault. He needs to unleash American energy.
2 hours later.
President Biden abused his power to sell our oil, reduce gas prices. No president should be able to use their emergency powers for politics.
But I'm sure I speak for many Democrats alike when I say thanks for the free ad there, Marge.
Lyndon B. Johnson is very similar to Joe Biden.
But I don't think they understand the magnitude of the Lyndon Johnson presidency and what Lyndon Johnson does to harness the power of government to make a better America.
I see now why they put out of the Freedom Caucus, because now she's in a caucus of her own, and it's not a very wise caucus.
Hey, Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.